Welcome back. Today, I'm starting what I would like to be a series on my channel, Things I Love About, where I just want to look at and discuss things I love about any certain designer, topic, products from a store, etc. I feel like it's a simple and flexible format that will allow me to explore many different aspects of the world of design and interiors. Now, most of the interior design content I consume is via Instagram, and in my opinion, it tends to be a bit limited in how we can share, appreciate, and discuss other people's work. Rarely goes further than a repost, a comment that reads something like house goals, dream space, or replying to a story with the fire emoji. So, for this first installment of Things I Love About, we are kicking things off with one of my favorite designers ever, Faye Too Good. Just before we start, a quick clarification. Too Good is a London-based design studio, founded by Faye Too Good. They mostly work in furniture, interior design, and fashion, and Faye takes part in all these departments. Her sister, Erika Too Good, a tailor, co-founded the fashion side of their practice along with Faye. Every Too Good furniture collection is presented as what they call an assemblage, and I wanted to start this video by talking of the latest one, Assemblage 6 Unlearning. When I first saw the pictures of these new pieces, I didn't really care for them, but to me, when talking about art, design, and fashion, there is something truly valuable in things that I don't appreciate right away, that are maybe a bit harder to approach. It can mean there's something I don't understand about them yet, something for me to learn. So, the same way a song you couldn't care less about will sometimes become your absolute favorite as you listen to it many times. The more I looked at this assemblage, the more I loved it. All the furniture and objects were first created as small maquettes out of cardboard, transparent tape, canvas, and wire before being reproduced as actual life-sized furniture, but out of more permanent and sturdier materials. My favorite pieces from the assemblage would have to be the white paper chair and the cardboard room divider. Their trompe-l'œil effect and their muted colors strongly remind me of Martin Margiela's experimental and deconstructive work. With that in mind, I now don't really understand why I didn't like them at first. Maybe it's because I wasn't expecting that coming from Faye Too Good, being somewhat of a departure from the chubbier shapes and smoother texture she usually works with. Maybe I was just taken aback. As I mentioned, Faye Too Good not only works within furniture design, but she also does interiors. With her studio, she worked on residential projects as well as retail locations, but my favorite is her family's own home, a 1960s house originally designed by Swiss architect Walter Siegel. I love how it was renovated in respect with the original features of the home, like the wood paneling and the brick walls, but also how Faye seamlessly integrated her style in the more built-in elements, like this amazing kitchen waterfall-esque counter edge. I also love seeing the Too Good furniture pieces in a more regular-sized home. The way the roly-poly dining chairs and tables proportion fill the space in this reasonable-sized dining room is to me so much more inspiring than seeing them in a huge dining hall in some luxury mansion. Don't get me wrong, I do love looking at these grand houses filled with collectible design, but I do tend to find them less relatable, because they are. Faye's family house is filled with beautiful and high-end furniture and objects, yet it feels totally livable. And to top it all off, the color palette is perfectly balanced. I always love a good ivory on cream on chalk on beige color palette, and Faye knows how to do it well. I remember when I first stumbled upon Too Good's Instagram account years ago, I was somewhat confused. They had pictures of clothing, furniture, objects, along with pictures of art and other inspirations. I had no idea what they were about and what they actually did, but I liked the vibe of their page, so I followed it. I believe a lot of our appreciation for design and fashion goes through referencing, being reminded of a certain place, a time in your life, a certain book ambiance or era of the world will always make a sofa that much cozier, or any garment that much more fun to wear. With that in mind, sharing our personal references and inspiration is, I think, extremely generous, and it can help someone else along the way of inventing their own self, their own universe. Too Good's Instagram account does just that. It's beautifully curated with images of their furniture, interiors, and clothing, along with their inspirations, and I think that's where the added value is. All these photos of sculptures, paintings, and different artifacts not only give us a peek into the creative process of the studio, but it helps the whole storytelling of the brand. It builds a world around Too Good's work. I love scrolling through their grid and notice how the lushness of a certain landscape informed the deep green color of a shirt, or how some silver nitrate finish on a furniture piece bears a strong resemblance to some 17th century spoons. Adding another layer to Too Good's universe, Faye and Erika launched the clothing side of the studio in 2013. Often an inventive take on traditional trade and workwear garments, the timeless yet bold nature of the different pieces lends itself to infinite interpretations from their wearers. Whoever you are, a city dweller with dreams of retiring to the countryside to live your best farmer fantasy. Or if your style icon is Maggie Smith as the lady in the van. Or if you just aspire to be the cutest tote bag wearer in the world, Faye and Erika have got you covered. In an interview with Vogue UK about the clothing line, Faye says, "We started off where we took the approach that every single piece was unisex. Now we have pieces that have a menswear leaning and a womenswear leaning, but the large majority is deemed as pure unisex." Building onto that liberating idea of genderless clothing, in another interview I cannot seem to find again, I remember Erika or Faye talking about how the same garment would have a completely different effect on a woman wearing a bigger size in a baggy way versus a man choosing a smaller size for a more fitted result. The question being asked here is more along the lines of, how does the item of clothing interact with my body and do I like it? Rather than, is this style or size the appropriate one for my body/gender? It grounds you in appreciation, observation, and intention, putting aside concerns about being correct or proper. With that in mind, let me bring it back to interior design. Because the same way Faye and Erika's gender-neutral clothing bring us back to the basics of shapes, volume, color, and texture, doing the same while thinking about furniture pairings allows for a much less restrictive view of design, opening up countless possibilities. Even though eclectic mixing of styles is at the forefront of the design world at the moment, it is really often described by mere percentages, which might keep you a bit too close to formulaic design without letting you expand on your own unique interior taste.
So tip number one for you guys is the 80-20 rule. So this means that 80% of your interior design elements in a space should be from one design style, and the 20% should be from a supplementary design style. So you've got the dominant one, and then you've got the supplementary one.
I got my results, and I have 15% glam, 10% farmhouse, 40% coastal. What do I do? How do I combine those? What does that mean?
My diagnosis of Shizan's aesthetic is 60% glam, 30% bohemian, and 10% vintage eclectic.
Can I mix Scandi and industrial? No. Can I mix deco and mid-century modern? No. Can I mix industrial and grand millennial? Not while I'm looking.
So break those boundaries. Try to see beyond rigid style categories like mid-century and postmodern, and mix together an antique console table with an avant-garde chair. The key is to ask yourself the right questions. How does a chair shape interact with the volumes or details of a table? What does a certain texture evoke? Is it rough or soft? Do you want it juxtaposed to something soft to enhance it, or something rough to create a contrast? I love this example here. The fluid lines and texture of this inventive contemporary seat find an echo in the elegant swirls of this old and traditional fireplace mantel. So even though they're not of the same style category, they enhance each other and create a beautifully unexpected pairing. We went on a bit of a tangent away from Too Good's clothing here, but that is what I love about design. An idea that sprouts in fashion can absolutely nourish a reflection on interior decorating and vice versa. And Too Good's holistic approach to what modern living can look like truly encapsulates that. Last but not least, of course, I want to talk more about the furniture. It's too hard to choose only one favorite. Honestly, I should put all the Too Good furniture as a favorite. I love it all so much. But I still chose a few different pieces that spoke to me for various reasons. The sculptor's tool might seem a bit different from what you'd expect from Faye, and it makes sense as it is an older piece. But I'm always up for a good cube, and this one does not disappoint. It has a complexity in its construction, yet it retains the pleasing simplicity of the cube's geometry. The little gap in the middle of the cube creates two chubby legs, a recurring element in Too Good's vocabulary. And I am not lying when I say I regularly Google search this tool just to look at it. The roly-poly cantilever drawer is the perfect version of those usually squared wall-hanging nightstands. You can see them used in the Casa Paloma house in Ibiza, designed by Faye Too Good herself. I typically prefer the grounding effect provided by nightstands that are placed directly on the floor, but I think these don't feel lost in the space at all because they are so generously sized and substantial. Faye often experiments with different colors, textures, and materials, giving many variations of the same item their own singular energy. One of my favorites has got to be these bronze cast and silver nitrate finished pieces, presented in Assemblage 5. The assemblage comprised many pieces reminiscent of the roly-poly shape, declined in new materials. Amongst them, the spoon chair, the pew bench, and a solitary board game. The silver nitrate finish was used to represent the moon element, giving an incredible depth to the color and texture of the pieces. That concludes this video. I really hope you liked it. For me, it was a great excuse to dive in and look at all of Too Good's things, which I very much enjoyed. There is of course a lot more to Too Good's world, so I've made sure to link all the videos, articles, and websites I've used as sources down below in the description box, if you want to explore them for yourself. Also, in quite a timely way, Faye is coming out with a new book titled Drawing, Material, Sculpture, Landscape, and you can pre-order a signed copy now. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, I love reading them. You can find me on Instagram at Laurent Lanier, and I hope to see you back soon in another video. Bye bye!